Hello everyone, if you are new here, my name is Trinh, also known as Beautiful. And welcome to my first dance tutorial here on YouTube, from my choreography to Beyoncé's Kitty Cat. It went pretty viral on TikTok, and the tutorial was requested a few times, so here it is. Y'all asked, and I deliver. As you can see, here's the dance that you will all be learning, how long the choreography technically is, and the level of difficulty. I would say all my choreography is technically easy to learn. To me, it's all about making this dance your own, putting your own style to it. Note: due to copyright reasons, I won't be playing the actual song throughout this video. Second, to please be kind and patient with me, this is my first time teaching with 8 counts. Remember to stretch and have some water nearby to stay hydrated. If you can, feel free to follow me on my main TikTok and Instagram at Beautiful, and my dance Instagram at Trinh Creatives. Let's get started. This choreography is the first 15 to 16 seconds of the song. It includes 4 beats and the main chorus. A half an 8 count is represented by the 4 beats. 2 8 counts and a 1 and a 2 is represented by the main chorus. So let's begin with the 4 beats. The 4 beats sound like this: boom, 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 with counts 5 and a 6 and a 7 and an 8. If you're planning to learn this dance for TikTok's sake, the audio that I use only concerns itself with the second half of the 4 beats, or half 8 count, which is 7 and an 8. But if you're learning this just for fun, feel free to do all the 4 beats or the full half an 8 count. This section of the choreography is just in preparation for the main choreography, hence why it is just one repetitive move. You're just doing this move from one side to the opposite, that side to the opposite. So let's begin with just the feet. On the 5, you step to the back with your right foot. On the end, you bring your left foot and tap it like you're dipping your toes in the water. On the 6, you step back with your left. And on the end, you bring your right and tap it. 7 and 8 and. Together, it should look like this: 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and. With just hands, you're putting your hands in the X formation with your right over your left. On the 5, 6, 7, 8, you're keeping your hands right here. And on the ands, you're pushing your hands forward like you're pressing a button or knocking on a door. So together with counts, it should be like this: 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and. So let's put the hands and feet together. It should look something like this: 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and. Got it? Let's move forward to the first 8 count. The first 8 counts sounds like this: a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and a 5 and 6 and 7, 8. So let's begin on the 1 end. We left off right here. Just the body and feet. On the 1, you step out with your right foot facing center. On the end, you rest your weight on your left hip, bending your right leg. So 1 and. With just the hands, you put both your hands on your sides in a fist and flex. On the end, you raise just your right hand up like this, like you're carrying a shopping bag, and you're tilting your head to the left side like this. You're doing this at the same time you raise your right hand up just to give it some attitude. So 1 and. With both hands and feet, it's 1 and. Let's move on to the 2 and. With just the feet, you're bringing out your left leg out to the left. And on the end, you bring your left leg in a passe. So 2 and. With just the hands, you bring out both your hands out like this on the 2, and on the end, you bring or push back rather your left hand to the back like this. So together, it's 2 and. On the 3 and 4, you immediately bring out your left foot down, and you're doing this motion. 3 and 4 and. You're just bending your leg, straightening your leg, bending your leg, straightening your leg. Okay? And with just your hands, you are bringing your left hand down on a diagonal, and then your right hand and doing the same motion. So 3 and 4 hand. And as you do that, you're gonna bang your head up and down like a rock star. So let's put that together. It's 3 and 4 and. So let's begin or start again on one end. So on a 5 and a 6 and a 7 and an 8 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Got it? Let's move on to the end of 5 and 6 and. With just the feet, you're putting your left foot back in on the anda. It's very quick. It's just a prep move. On the 5, you step out with your left. On the end, you bring out your right foot in. On the 6th end was where it's different. You still step to the left, but as you step to the left, you immediately bend down in a sorority position with your hands on your thighs. And on the end, you pop your back like this. So 6 and. With just the feet, it's end of 5 and 6 and. With the hands, you put both your hands in a bended position on the anda. On the 5 and, you open, and as you open, you're moving or rolling your chest from the right to the left. So 5 and. And as you know, on the 6th end, you're just bending and popping your back. Okay, let's put the hands and feet together. It's end of 5 and 6 and. On the 7 and the 8, you're stepping out with your right foot first to the left side and in. And then the left and in. 7 and 8 and. With just the hands, you're doing this shooing away motion. I'm not so strict with how you do it. You can do it just one hand, 2 hands, or just to keep it at 2 hands to keep it clean. So together, it's like this. 7 and 8 and. And that's the end of the first 8 count. So let's start from the beginning of this section with a 5 and a 6 and a 7 and an 8 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 5 and 6 and 7, 8. Got it? I hope you did. It's not just rewind it back. So let's move on to the second section or second 8 count. The second 8 count in 1 and 2 sounds like this. A 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 5 and a 6 and a 7 and an 8 and 1 and 2. So let's begin with the first 1 and 2. The first 1 and 2 is a repetitive dance move. Let's begin with the feet. You step out with the right foot on the 1. And on the end, you bring your left foot in. As you bring your left foot in, you're twisting both your knees to the left side. And 2 and. Let's do that together. 1 and 2 and. With hands on the 1 end, you're bringing out your hands on the 1 on a come here position. And on the end, you put it close to you. On the 2 end, you're going to push out forward on the 2. And on the end, you're pushing it to the side. So together, it's 1 and 2 and. Let's put it with the feet and a 5 and a 6 and 7 and 8 and a 1 and 2 and. Let's move on to the 3 and 4. The 3 and 4 is a pivoting motion. So on the 3, you're stepping out with your right leg. And on the end, you pivot. On the 4, you take a mini step with your left. 4. And on the end, you pivot. So together, it's 3 and 4 and. With hands, you're putting your right hand on your right hip Your left hand will be your guide. On the 3, you're pushing your left hand out like this. On the and, you swipe. On the 4, your hand should be behind you. And then on the end, your left hand should be on your side. And as you do this move, like in the previous section, you're gonna head bang once more to give it momentum or motion. So let's put that together for the 3 and 4. So 3 and 4 and. Okay, let's move on to the 5 and a 6 and a 7 and an 8. The 5 and a 6 and a 7 and an 8 is kind of similar to the first half 8 count in the beginning of this video, but the 8 end is a different story. So let's begin with the feet once more. You're right here. On the 5, you're resting your weight on your right leg. So this is on 5 and. On the 6, you are resting your weight on your left hip. So together, it's a 5 and a 6 and. On the 7, you move your right leg to the back, 7 and. And on the 8 end, you're gonna buck your left hip up twice, 8 and. Okay, so let's put that together. A 5 and a 6 and a 7 and an 8 and. With hands, you keep your right hand on your right hip. And once again, you bring your left hand out like you're showing off an engagement ring. And on the 6 and, you have to flex your left hand and push it back to your side like this. So this is a 5 and 6 and. On the 7 and, you bring both your hands and put it on top of your head. 7, and on the 8 and, you can leave it there. 8 and. But if you're having trouble with bucking your hips twice, you can do a different hand motion, like swiping your hands across your thighs twice or hitting your hips. It's up to you. So it should look like this. 8 and, 8 and, or 8 and. So let's do the 5 and a 6 and a 7 and an 8 with both hands and feet. 5 and a 6 and a 7 and an 8 and. And while we're close to the finish line, let's finish with the 1 and 2. So on the 1, feet wise, you're keeping your left hip raised, but you're twisting your left ankle to the left. So on a 1, you twist, you transition, and when you reach to the 2, your ankle should be facing the right. So what? Excuse me. A 1 and 2. With hands, you keep your right hand on top of your head, and with your left hand, you tap on the top on 1, you transition on the and you should be right here on the 2. So 1 and 2. And for a cute detail, you can push your right elbow in towards your face. So together it should look like this. 1 and 2. Let's do it with both hands and feet. 1 and 2. And that's the end of the choreography. So let's start from the beginning of the section with the 1 and 2. And a 5 and a 6 and a 7 and an 8 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 5 and a 6 and 7 and an 8 and a 1 and 2. As a choreographer and an avid watcher of dance videos, I enjoy when dancers add their own style, flair to the choreography. Before we go over the whole dance with counts and all the speeds, I would like to identify the parts of this choreography where you can add your own style and give you some ideas and suggestions, using the 3 videos I posted of this choreography on TikTok. With this choreography in particular, let's focus on facial expressions. Facial expressions is an obvious method, As a face puller and someone who grew up dancing, facial expressions were highly valued and practiced. Within this choreography, the tone of it is very sassy and confident. You can spice up this choreo with expressions of you being cute, furrowing your eyebrows, smiling, smirking, etc. Whatever feels natural. Disregard people who shame you for that. It is what makes you stand out and have charisma. Next, hands. Throughout this video, I said that I'm not strict with hands. Just like facial expressions, hands are another way to add character to the dance. You can put them in a fist, flex them, use them to place emphasis on something, or add motion to a dance move. Here are some variations or sections of the dance where I change it up. Remember, there is power in subtle movements or placing emphasis on certain movements. Now, let's go over the whole choreography with counts and all the speeds. 5 and a 6 and a 7 and a 8 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 5 and 6 and 7, 8 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 5 and a 6 and a 7 and a 8 and a 1 and 2. 5 and a 6 and a 7 and a 8 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 5 and 6 and 7, 8 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 5 and a 6 and a 7 and a 8 and a 1 and 2. 5 and a 6 and a 7 and a 8 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 5 and 6 and 7, 8 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 5 and a 6 and a 7 and a 8 and a 1 and 2. With that, that's the end of this dance tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you decide to post this on TikTok or any other platforms, please give credit and tag me. I would love to watch it. Please give me feedback. In the future, I hope to make more dance tutorials for you all, and I want to make it as comprehensible as possible. Subscribe and see you in the next video. Bye!